You know, every day that goes by, I start to hate the movie-going experience a little bit more. Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
I'm Michelle.
And I am not talking about Ocean's 8 itself when I say that, by the way, but this is our post-Geekout reaction for Ocean's 8. And the post-Geekout reaction is not a review, it's just a discussion between the two of us about the thing that we just watched, and that does include spoilers. I will hold off on most of the spoilers until the end of this, so even if you have not seen the film, you'll be good for a little bit, but I'll let you know when we start getting into spoilers. But the reason why I started the video off by saying that is because I came out of this feeling kind of meh, whatever about the movie, but I have to put a big old asterisk on there that just says, fuck that audience. Peach is mad at them too, you can hear her barking off screen. Oh, that was one of the worst audiences I've ever had. Oh, okay, I walk in there and immediately you see people with their feet up on the chairs in front of them, which you see that at every theater. You always see that. There's always that one or two people there. I'm talking like a dozen different people scattered all across the theater, just feet up there. I was like, the fuck is wrong with you? And then I noticed there are people sitting in the aisles, even though there are seats still available. It made no fucking sense, but I was like, all right, fine, whatever. I'll just excuse my way past them. And throughout the course of this film, there were people talking all at the theater. Like, I had someone behind me who just kept constantly going, that's what I would have done. I would have done that. I would have said the same thing. I was like, no one gives a shit. You're not the star of this film. Shut up. I don't even know if they were with anyone. But the big one, I was sitting right there at the aisle, on the other side of the aisle, like on the exact same row as me. There was someone who, you never want to be mad at someone for enjoying a film. But I had the fucking Joker in my theater. There was some guy who constantly, throughout this film, kept laughing at everything. And I mean stuff that I don't even think was supposed to be a joke. Like, seriously, like someone just gives like a little like, look, and they would just start laughing at it, but they laughed, not exaggerating. And they applauded too whenever they did it. And again, you want to applaud the theaters? I know some people who get so mad when people applaud in movies because like, well, it's not like they can actually hear you. It's like, shut the fuck up. It's a form of expressing your excitement and expressing how happy you are. Go ahead, go and do it. This guy, every single goddamn joke. Again, I am not exaggerating. That's exactly what they did. And like, this guy would like gasp constantly, like audibly gasp. But not at like suspenseful moments or anything. Like there was a moment in which the camera just shows the back of someone's head. Like you're not supposed to know who it is. And he goes, and I went, how the fuck is anyone that excited at this movie? Like it's defying all explanation. Like no one has been that excited at any movie I've ever seen in my life, and I want to make it clear, I'm not exaggerating. If anything, I'm downplaying it because I can't hit the levels this guy was hitting. So yeah, I just had to make it clear. I'm not that happy with this film, but there's that big old asterisk of this was a shitty ass audience. So, actually, you know what? Yeah, it was worse than the audience that we saw A Quiet Place with, because that was really only just one person fucking up the whole thing. Like, this was a whole audience just being assholes.
Yeah, and at least like at least someone in the audience was like telling them to like.
Yeah, at least at The Quiet Place, someone eventually told them shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Here, like everybody was just like, yeah, whatever, we don't care. And I was just like,
is that like the kind of audience this movie is supposed to like cater to?
That's the thing. This theater was packed. And I asked on Twitter, okay, there's 4 big releases coming out this weekend. Which is the one that you guys want me to talk about first? This one, hands down, and I was shocked. I didn't think anybody gave a shit about the Ocean films anymore. Like, I did not know this was still such a big thing. I remember, by the way, I want to let everyone know, there's going to be a lot of people comparing this film to the George Clooney Ocean trilogy. I am not going to do that because I have zero memory of those films. I saw Ocean's 11, I saw Ocean's 12, I skipped Ocean's 13, and I remember really liking Ocean's 11. I remember not really caring about Ocean's 12. But that is all I remember about them. I have zero memory of those movies.
And I haven't seen any of them, so.
Yeah, you didn't even see this one,
no.
by the way. So, I'm not going to come in here and compare them, but that's the thing. There are that many people who love the Ocean films that much? Like, again, not coming in here and judging anyone. It's like, how old was going to do it? Because I don't remember them. And like I said, I remember the first one. But man, I have not heard anybody talk about the Ocean films since they went away. Was there like people just like sitting on that? Like, nah, man, just wait. Eventually they're gonna come. Eventually it's gonna come back.
It was like a cult following, one of those kind of movies.
Dude, I follow cult films. The people who are cult fans talk about those movies. No, this was like people who were like secret fans. Like, like the moment that Ocean 8 was announced, someone just went and opened up their closet and just there was a ton of George Clooney memorabilia in there, just waiting for that day.
But George Clooney was not.
He's not in this one yet.
Yeah, it's like, isn't this supposed to be?
Well, hold on. He's kind of in this one. Okay.
Oh, like a cameo?
No, but man, it pisses me off they didn't have a cameo because in this film, Sandra Bullock plays his sister, and she's been in jail for the past 5 years, and she's out, and when she gets out, George Clooney's character is dead. And she, like, goes to his grave, and, like, he just died. It says till 2018 in there. And she looks at the grave and goes, you better actually be in there. And I'm like, that's okay. I like that. That's a good joke in there. And then you have, like, oh, God, what's his name? The guy from MASH. He was Hawkeye in the original MASH. Not Alan Alda, but the original, whatever. He played Ross and Monica's dad in Friends. God damn it. He was in the last Oceans film. But anyway, Elliot Gould, that's his name. I didn't even pop up on there. I just actually remembered it. Elliot Gould, like he pops up in here and he's saying like, yeah, well, you know, your brother would have won this, you would have won that. And then like there's a moment like out of nowhere and it was like one of the members of Sandra Bullock's crew is like looking at a portrait that she has of her brother just on her desk, which is kind of weird that she has that because like this isn't even her home. Like she's just like this is where she has to stay after she got out of prison. She's staying with a friend and there's just a portrait there of her brother, which maybe it was her friend who had the portrait, which I could kind of see that a little bit more because this member of her crew, she looks at the portrait and she just goes, is that actually your brother? Yeah, he's really handsome. Sure. Is he actually dead? I don't know. Yeah, like they keep bringing up, yeah, he's dead over and over and over again. But they also keep bringing up, he might not actually be dead.
Like Schrodinger's cat?
No, more of it like, has he conned everyone?
Oh.
Yeah, because he's got the grave. The grave is there. Everyone says he's dead, but it's like, yeah, he's the world's greatest con artist. Is this a big trick? Which, that was in my head throughout the entire film. Man, at the end of this film, okay, small spoiler right here. Okay, this is where we're gonna get into a little bit of small spoilers here. At the end of this film, by the way, sorry that my wife is playing fetch with our dog off to the side.
Yeah.
It's the only way to keep her from barking.
Yeah. Come here, Peach.
At the end of this film, it has her go up to his grave, and she's just sitting there, and she just goes, you would have loved it, and I was like, now he's gonna walk out from behind the grave and say, yeah, I would have, or something like that. Like, just, like, you hinted at this too much. No, he's gone. And I'm just like, dude, for real? Like, you hinted at this so much that you're not gonna give him a cameo or anything in this? Like, alright, whatever, fine. Alright, let's go ahead and get into what this movie is actually about. Sandra Bullock plays Danny Ocean's sister, who is, I should probably not refer to her throughout the entire film as Danny Ocean's sister. Debbie Ocean. Wow, how did I not know that? But she plays Debbie Ocean, and she's been in jail for the past 5 years because, like her brother, she would pull cons as well. However, she did a lot of smaller ones. However, she also had a partner, and that partner ended up kind of betraying her. He sold her out, and now she has been in jail for 5 years, and she's getting out now. And first thing she does after she gets out is she starts pulling cons again. But they're like cons on retail shop employees.
Oh no.
So on the one hand, like you're impressed with what she does. You're impressed that she's able to pull all this shit off. Because like you're looking at it, it's like, oh yeah, you actually could do that. But speaking as someone who worked in retail before,
yeah,
she can go fuck herself.
Yeah, I've worked in retail too. Fuck those people.
Yeah. Like she was doing this thing where she went into the store, she just grabbed a bunch of items off the shelf. Then she went there and went, hi, yeah, I have these products and I'd like to return them. Okay, do you have the receipt? They're unopened products. Like just being an asshole just to get away with it. And then they're like, I'm sorry, but we can't take that. We can't take it back. Do you have the credit card? You know what? This is ridiculous. Just let me keep the items then. It's like, all right, fine, yeah. And goes, can I get a bag for all that? Sure. And they put it all in the bag, poor retail shop employee just trying to be nice there, and she's just taking total advantage of it. It's like, yeah, that shit actually does work, because I know I used to work in Michael's, like Michael's on the Upper West Side too, so it's nothing but like rich old white ladies who feel completely entitled to everything just coming up to you and was like, I know that I bought this product that's supposed to be $10 for $2 because I used 12 different coupons on it. However, I think you owe me more, so give me more attention. I need something to fill that hole inside of me that comes from not having love in my life. Yeah, I still hold some shit from that. And the thing is, Michael's is one of the worst companies in the world because they might have changed this policy. No one go in there and try this, by the way. I'm not telling anyone to try this because they might have completely changed it. But when I was working there, the policy was that you were not allowed to stop anyone from shoplifting. You only were allowed to go up to them and ask them, can I help you with anything? To try and get them to stop doing it. You were never allowed to accuse someone of shoplifting or try and stop them in any way, because according to them, that would create an unfriendly shopping environment. Like they didn't want anybody to feel intimidated or anything. So we would literally have little old ladies stealing shit, like openly, like the bag would be, their purse would be open and just grabbing shit off there and putting it in the purse. And all we could do is just go, can I help you with anything? No.
Honestly, between that and like all the coupons they keep giving out, I'm surprised Michael's is still like surviving.
Fuck, Michael's is like you said, Michael's is one of the worst companies to work for. Because like on my first day, like everyone at Michael's was working for minimum wage. And yet we had lines going around the store. Like, you know how fucking big a Michael's is. It was the only one in New York at the time, and we had lines going all the way throughout the store with like 2 people on register having to get through there because we wouldn't hire more employees. Everyone was getting paid minimum wage. And yet the customers would be coming up with 50% off coupons every single goddamn day. And that would be on top of 50% off sales going on half the store anyways. And I was like, God, they do not give a shit about the employees. Anyway, that's been building up for a long ass time. But yeah, so she starts out with that, and I'm like, on the one hand, I'm impressed that you pull this up, and she is incredibly smooth. But on the other hand, man, you couldn't like pull this con on like someone who isn't just eating shit for a living already.
Yeah, seriously, like, don't do shoplifting or anything. You're not sticking it to the company. You're just screwing over people who are working for minimum wage.
If you are going to shoplift, like, don't like do that thing where you have to go up to the person at the register and treat them like shit. Man, the people who, oh goddamn, sorry, that's a whole other tangent. Sorry, we gotta get back to the movie. I already ranted about one thing in this video. So she then meets up with, what was her name? She is played by, Lou is her name. She's played by Cate Blanchett, which I did not recognize in here. Like, she's got like this Joan Jett, like, rocker look to her. Man, did not recognize her at all. But yeah, she is also like a con artist herself, but she's kind of almost got working like a business. Like, she's selling vodka to people, but it's like half water.
Oh.
And like, she's got this like really good line at the beginning where she's telling the people who fill up the vodka bottles for her, is like, what does that taste like to you? Tastes like vodka. That's the problem. It needs to taste like vodka and water. Because when you're drunk, it will just taste like vodka. And I was like, that's really smooth. Like, this film starts off, like, I've been hearing pretty meh stuff about this movie. But the thing, again, I don't remember squat from the Ocean films, but the thing that I do remember being the big selling point of it was the personalities of everyone. And I went into this, and these first 2 people we get, I was like, man, I'm sold. I've been hearing meh stuff, but I don't know why. This has really got me in here. I am totally down with this. And then after the 2 of them pair up, she is instantly like, all right, here's the heist. Here's what I'm going to do. I've been thinking about this for 5 years. We're going to get this done. And they're going to go to the Met, and they're going to steal like these Queen's diamonds, like these royal diamonds, this royal diamond necklace. And the way that they're going to do that is that this actress played by Anne Hathaway, she is there to be the person hosting this giant gala that they're doing. And they're thinking, okay, we need to get a dress designer, a fashion designer to come in here who trusts her, who has a history with her, but is also in trouble. So they find this one played by Helena Bonham Carter, which is probably the most downplayed role that Helena Bonham Carter has ever had, which kudos to her on that. It's good for her to show some range in here. Again, really good actresses in here with really good characters. They find someone who, yeah, she has worked with her in the past, but she's $5 million in debt to the IRS and she's going to go to jail if she can't pay it off. So I was like, all right, you kind of have to work with us. And he goes, okay, we need you to get Anne Hathaway to hire you to make her dress, and then you need to convince the people who are keeping this necklace secret, who are keeping this necklace safe, not secret, who are keeping it safe, under lock and key, that it is necessary for your design for her to wear this. And there's a whole sequence that they go through for that in order to like get the people, because like they don't want to like, of course, it is a $150 million necklace, and it's like this royal heirloom, like they are not going to give this over for like a fashion thing, but she's able to convince them, and it's like, okay, pretty good. And like their whole plan is that they've got these glasses that can scan every inch of it, then they're going to use a 3D printer to print out like a complete replica of it, so that way no one will know until it's returned that night after they steal it. But then they have to get also a hacker, which they go to Rihanna for that, and she's this hacker called Nineball, which again, she is a great character as well. Like there's a moment in here in which like you actually get to meet like her little sister, and her little sister is a genius as well. Like they had to go to her for help, but her little sister is like 14, and it's like, oh man, I kind of want a spin-off just about this character. Like I like the other characters in here, but man, she's definitely the one who you've established like the most outside of this group in here. Then they also go to Mindy Kaling, who she is the jeweler, because they need somebody who during the middle of this heist, after they have stolen the necklace, can basically disassemble the necklace like perfectly without damaging anything, and then sneak it out of the gala. Then they also need a pickpocket, which they go to a YouTuber, like not in the film. In the film, she's like somebody who like just pulls cons, like 3-card Monty stuff. But she's an actual YouTuber called Aquafina. I have no clue who that is. Other thing about YouTube, after the Logan Paul asshole incident, it made me go, oh, there are people out there with tens of millions of subscribers who I have never ever fucking heard of. So she could be giant and massive, I don't know. But yeah, so they go to her for that. Then they need someone who is like the fence. They need that person who's like the buffer between the criminals and the organization, the person to be on the inside. So they get someone for that. Someone to go and basically work for this security company that is in charge of this, so they can find out like who's gonna be there, who they can get to sneak in, where the cameras are all placed, stuff like that. So that's 7, right, I believe?
I wasn't keeping track, I'm sorry.
Neither was I, and I was saying it. But yeah, it's a heist film, is what it is. They get the heist all laid out. And I like these characters. I do dig each of their personalities. And again, that's like the one thing I remember from the original Ocean's 11. Well, not the original one, because that was the Rat Pack. And the original Ocean's 11, I do remember that film is awful. But the George Clooney Ocean's 11 film, the thing that I remember from that is the personalities. And it was a Steven Soderbergh film. That's the thing he's known for, is making like really big personalities and just being able to carry films on that. So I was looking at this like, yeah, man, I like all these characters. Here's where my enthusiasm really screeched to a halt on this film. I dug all the characters. The moment that they get together and start working on the plan, the personalities are gone. It is all just, we're doing this, doing that, go this place, get this thing, grab that, do this. There's like one moment of Aquafina and Mindy Kaling, which is it Mindy or Millie? I think it's Mindy Kaling. It was Aquafina and Mindy Kaling, and Aquafina is teaching her how to use Tinder, and just so if you like them, then you swipe that one. Okay, well if I don't like him, then you swipe that one. I really like this guy, then swipe, go ahead and swipe. Oh my God, it's a match, it's a match. And I was like, that is fun. Like I want to see where that I don't want that to be like a whole like side story.
But you want to see more of that.
More
in the
stuff
movie.
like that. I want to see these unique characters who have never really interacted, like just come up with weird mixes and matches of these characters. Just come up with weird, like this person with that person. What happens when that person talks to this person? What happens when this person talks to that person? There's also a scene when Helena Bonham Carter has to go and actually like investigate, like actually look at the diamond so that way they can create the replica of it. She's paired up with Mindy Kaling. There's some good stuff there, but again, it's also still just a lot of like, okay, do this thing. Okay, do this thing. Do this thing. And it's like, I mean, yeah, aside from that, like, as soon as the thing starts going, like, it's just the facts. And man, I was so disappointed at that point. Like, I want more of just these characters interacting with each other, and there isn't a lot of that. Like, you have these very unique characters, and pretty much every line that they get after they have all assembled is just, so what does that mean? So how are we going to do this? What you're going to do is you're going to go here and do this. Well, what happens if this? Then we're going to do that. So don't we need someone on the inside? Yes, that is going to be this person's job. I was like, man, this got really fucking dull to me after that point, because, yeah, the personalities just stopped. Yeah, and it all just became about the heist. But here's the thing, I really like heist films. So even if you drop the personalities, as long as you can wow me with this heist, great, I'm back in. This heist is so goddamn boring. This heist is so fucking... There is no tension in this heist at all. Because here's what happens. Okay, this is when we're actually getting into like semi-spoilery stuff, because I'm going to tell you how this goes down. What happens is that they basically poison Anne Hathaway's soup. She goes running into the bathroom, which is the one spot in this entire museum where there aren't security cameras because that's against the law. They have in there Awkwafina, who her role is kind of like the pickpocket character. She is there inside the bathroom as the, what do you call those, maitre d's? Like, what are you?
I don't know, but I know what.
The people, like, it's not maitre d', those are the people who run the restaurant. But
the people, like, hand you the towels and everything like
attendants, that's what it's called, bathroom attendant. She's in there as kind of like the bathroom attendant. And she goes in and she locks all the bathroom doors except for one. And then she makes sure that she keeps everyone out. Then Anne Hathaway comes right in there. She goes and starts puking, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay?" Snatch, take it off. And then she goes out, and there's that one little area there in front where you can't see anyone. And then the person who is working there on the inside, they send a busboy with a thing full of plates by. At the exact moment that she comes out, she drops the thing there on the plates. And then he goes into the kitchen, hands them off to Mindy Kaling, who's working in the kitchen. She drops the plates in the water, reaches in there, pulls it out, goes in the bathroom, into like the private employee bathroom. And then she pulls down the baby thing, and it's like a jeweler, like, yeah, like it's got a light in there, it's got the tray to like work on. She goes to the first aid cabinet, opens it up, and it's like pliers, it's a whole toolkit in there. Which is really cool, but it's one of those things that when you stop and like think about, and you think about how they're going to scrub down every inch of this place afterwards, you're like, will you not have... No one is going to figure this out. Like, I mean, it'd be one thing if you also saw how they disassemble that afterwards, but you don't see that. And I'm like, that's kind of like, I need you to see that scene of how you get that one major piece of evidence out of the scene. That actually is kind of important here. But it is still kind of impressive that they set that up. But she's like taking that apart, and everybody then notices Anne Hathaway is no longer wearing the necklace. So they shut the entire place down. They are looking for it everywhere. And then their inside person, as soon as they get all the gems disassembled, which there's supposed to be some tension there because like someone is walking into the kitchen to investigate, and like they're getting closer. It's like, you gotta do it now. You gotta reveal that you found it. You gotta reveal that you found it. And she's like, oh, I don't. How am I gonna do that? How am I gonna do that? Just say you found it in the water. Just say you found it. And she reaches into like the water and pulls it out. It's like, oh, here, because there's like a big moat there in the middle of the Met. And she pulls it out, and he goes, oh, I found it. And then the guy gets called off. And then she disassembles it, and she goes around handing it to all the other people in her crew. And then one by one, they all walk out of there with this. And like, here's the thing. That sounds really smooth. And it is really smooth. It is too goddamn smooth. Because there's no tension in this thing. There is never, like I said, the only two moments. I mean, during a heist, you need those moments when you're like, oh God, things are going wrong. How are we going to adapt to this thing?
Yeah, you gotta have like a plan B or like a backup plan.
Not even that, like you need a way to be able to adapt and get back on to plan A even. Man, the biggest like thing that goes wrong during this is the busboy who they hand the thing off to, who doesn't know he's carrying this. He stops in the hallway to chit chat with someone, and then the hacker goes, we got chit chatter. He's chit chatting someone. You got to stop that. You're like, come on, we got to get back on schedule. Then the person who's working there just comes in and goes, hey, you're not being paid to talk? Oh, I'm sorry, boss. And then just walks back in. I was like, that was it? And then like the other like piece of tension in here is, like I said, when they walk into the kitchen while she's in the employee bathroom, like trying to disassemble this thing. But then they're on the walkie just going, like, okay, you gotta reveal that you found it. You gotta get him to call up. You gotta reveal that you found it. How am I gonna do that? I gotta make it look real. I gotta make it real. It's like, literally no one is watching you right now. Literally, you could just go, found it, it was in this bush. Like, there's no, like, you're looking at that going, just say you found it. That's it. And then she solves it by just saying, hey, I found it. I was like, there is no fucking tension to this thing. Like, it is such a boring heist. Yes, it is very smooth. It does show their competence. But here's the thing. When you're so competent that there is no
challenge,
yeah, exactly. That's like, oh, dude.
We don't really care then.
That's the thing. If you're so competent that there's no challenge, make the challenge bigger. Like, I'm not saying, like, dumb this plan down.
No.
I'm not saying, like, make this plan worse so that way it could possibly fail.
Raise
That way
the
we feel
stakes.
Exactly. And and I was thinking about that, and that's when it hit me. Who the fuck is the villain of this film? Like, again, like I said, I wasn't going to compare this to the old Ocean's 11 because I don't remember much about it. But one thing I remember is there was a villain. I do remember, like, the guy who ran the casino. It was like, oh, that's the big bad guy. There's no fucking villain in this film. The villain is whether or not they get the gems out. But that's not like a thing that will possibly fight them back. And, I mean, as far as that threat goes, again, it's just, hey, get back to work. Oh, I'm sorry, boss. That's it. That is the most fight that this villain of the film puts up.
The busboy was the villain the whole time.
Exactly. It is so fucking bland. Not because it's not an interesting plan, but because it goes so smoothly. It's like, there is zero tension to this. The only appeal of this whole thing is just watching how well they're able to pull this off. But man, I keep thinking about, leave it to me to compare this to a Marvel film. I keep thinking about Ant-Man. You want to show how someone is competent at being a thief, but at the same time there's a challenge to it? Mm-hmm. Think about the first heist that Scott Lang pulls off in Ant-Man. Because he is insanely competent in that.
Right.
But he runs into a new thing that they didn't plan for every step of the way.
Right.
And then on the fly, the dude comes up with, okay, gotta do this, I got this plan, this does this thing. You never get like any of that in this film. And I'm not saying you had to do exactly that, but what I'm saying is, yeah, you gotta show me like how these people can overcome a challenge. These people it's kind of like watching someone get a 1600 on the SATs, but it's not like them sitting there like, oh fuck, okay, do this. All right, think this through. This does this, and okay. Then it's gotta be this answer. It'd be more like, I studied this so well, I know this. It'd be like watching a machine gain a 1600 on the SATs. That's kind of what this is. Yeah, they got that 1600, but man, it's kind of like just because you punched in the right cards. Yeah, it is so bland, the big heist that they pull off. Again, not because it isn't interesting, but because nothing interesting happens during it. So yeah, I was totally lost at that. I went, wow, that was so flat. Then the movie goes into the fourth act.
Oh, there's 4 acts.
There is a fourth act of this film. And because then the insurance company sends this guy out played by, oh god, he's the guy who took over for Craig Ferguson. What's his name? I don't remember his name because I am awful with names. IMDb. Don't list them by the order that they appeared. List them in the role that they play. It's so much easier. James Corden. James Corden pops up in this film, and he's the guy who is like the insurance representative. And he's like, I don't care about solving the case. I care about either showing that there was fraud, or I care about finding the diamonds. And like he comes in and is like, James Corden is like a fluffy stuffed animal of a human being, but he's coming in there and actually kind of being intimidating. I was like, oh wow, that's kind of an interesting, again, that's the thing that this film does well. It has interesting characters in here. And you've got this guy in here who he's listing off all the crazy cases that he has solved in his time. And I'm like, it is insane to hear James Corden sound like that much of a badass, but it's working in this film. Again, interesting characters. I'm back into this thing because now that explains why the heist was not the big climax of the film. It's not the big climax of the film. The big climax of the film is, are they going to be able to get away with this now that you have this crazy ass insurance representative coming in there to investigate the case? He's investigating this thing, and he's going up to the guy who framed Sandra Bullock, which this is something I didn't mention to you. They needed someone to be Anne Hathaway's date there. So they got him because he's this famous painter. And he has no idea that he's being a pawn right now for this. And it's very clear they are going to try and pin this on the guy who snitched on Sandra Bullock. And James Corden goes up to this guy, and he just goes, yeah, listen, so evidence is kind of pointing that it might be you who did this. However, this is Debbie Ocean. Do you know her? Yeah, I know her. She was there at the Met that night. However, she has an alibi. She was standing right in front of the bathroom the entire night, just where the camera can see her the entire night. Out of all the suspects we have, she's the only one with a solid alibi. But why is this master thief standing 2 feet away from where Anne Hathaway lost her diamonds the night that it was stolen? And why was she at this big event that night? I know that she's the one who did it, but I have no evidence of it. And I was like, okay, this is getting real interesting. Then he just goes and meets Debbie Ocean, the big crazy insurance guy who's supposed to be the big threat that's going to solve this case. Dropped my phone, sorry about that. Who's going to be solving this case. He just goes and has lunch with her. And he's just like, yeah, so how's the family? You know family. And like, so you two have like a history going on? And like he reveals like, yeah, they do have like a history of like him and their entire family. And like, okay, that's kind of interesting. He's the guy who's always had to go and investigate their family. Like, all right, that's interesting. And he's like, yeah, listen, I just gotta find this thing. And then she goes, well, you know, it could possibly be in his apartment. Like, okay. Well, in order to investigate that, I would need probable cause for a search warrant. I think we can do some of that. And then Anne Hathaway, they just reveal at that moment that Anne Hathaway was in on this, not the entire time, but they reveal that Anne Hathaway was able to figure this out after the case, like after all this happened. She then realized, oh, someone pulled a massive con on me, because now that I know those aren't the actual diamonds, I now know that people I was working with might have been in on this. And she then revealed that, oh yeah, like after the insurance came around, we went and we talked to her about this. It's like, well, that's really kind of convenient. All right, sure, but she's the 8th person in Ocean's 8. Which, all right, that's interesting that the person that you conned is now the 8th member of your crew here in the fourth act of the film. Yeah, it makes you look back at the rest of this film kind of like, shit, if she was okay with you stealing this, why did you have to even poison her?
Yeah, I mean, like...
It kind of feels like us knowing that she was totally fine with you stealing this from her makes it like there could have been a way simpler way to do this then. Just go to her in the first place about this.
Like, she could have pretended to have food poisoning or something. Like,
Exactly.
She's an actress. Like...
Exactly. Yeah, like it took a huge amount of the tension that was in the previous part of this film away from this film. And also it took a character who, again, could have provided some conflict in this film. Yeah, now she's on your side. All right, fine. And so she then goes in there, she starts like romancing up the artist guy, and then she calls up the cops on his ass. They go in there, they find one piece of the diamond that they snuck into his jacket on that night, and then they bust him and he goes to jail for this. And then that's it.
Oh.
Yeah, again, it's like, the closest thing we had to a villain in this film was the crazy ass insurance agent who's going to come in here and make sure he proves the case, and he shows he knows what's up, he knows who actually did this, and then he reveals all of a sudden, yeah, I don't actually care who did this thing, I just want to bust someone for this. That's all I care. So you, person who I clearly know did it, you got someone you want me to bust for you? There's no tension in this either. It was just shocking to me how little fucking tension there was in this film. That was it. It was so freaking simple to solve all this. Yeah, it was kind of upsetting how all this went down. But I will say, like with any good heist film, there is the big reveal of, no, that's not the only thing that we did here. Because they took the pieces of the diamond and they sold it off. They got a bunch of older ladies in there, which that's one of the other weird things about this film. They just keep adding people on that Debbie Ocean just knew with like no explanation of their past or anything. They just keep coming on. And then in the fourth act of this thing, they have to sell off the pieces of the diamond. They just get like 4 older actresses, which they're all famous actresses, and kudos to this film for getting these actresses to come on back. Cause yeah, I'm happy whenever I see any older actress come back and get work. But they hired these people to go around to different jewelers and just basically say, oh, this was my late husband. Oh, this was my mother's. And basically just come up with sob stories for it. Then they took the money they got from that and invested it in that guy's company. So that way they would go, oh, so not only do you have a piece of the diamond, but suddenly some mysterious 4 ladies with identities that don't actually exist all invested a large chunk of money in your company. But then the members of the crew are like, well, if you took all the money that we were going to make from this and invested in the company just to bust this guy, how are we getting paid? There was a moment earlier on in this film when Anne Hathaway is giving a tour to the press of the big event, and they goes, here's the family jewels of several centuries worth of the royal family. And the moment that they did that, I just went, that's the thing you're actually going to steal. Like, there's no reason to stop the entire film and point that out, except, yeah, we all know that's exactly what you're going to actually steal. This is going to be the big reveal. While you guys were doing that, we were doing this kind of thing. And it's like, okay, that's fine. The way that they did it, though, is a massive... Man, I know there's people out there who are going to be happy with it. But again, I'm kind of like, man, this is kind of a fuck you, in my opinion. The car outside didn't like it. Because what they do is they go, oh yeah, we had someone else with us. Then it cuts to a random scene of Cate Blanchett's character going to, man, again, what was her name? Because I don't want to just keep calling these people like Sandra Bullock. Lou, that was her name. It cuts to Lou going to like this trapeze artist place. And then the guy who like comes down from like the trapeze thing, it was the contortionist from Ocean's 11. Like, again, I don't remember much about Ocean's 11, but I do remember they had like a contortionist who like fit into really crazy type situations. It's just that guy. And then they bring that guy, and they reveal, oh, they brought that guy in there in like a food cart that night while you guys were all doing this. Then he snuck in there and stole all these things and got out. And I was just like, you can't have the big reveal of how you pull this off be a character that was not in the rest of the goddamn film. Man, I was so, again, I remember that guy. I even remember liking that guy. I was really impressed with that guy in Ocean's 11. Again, that's like one of the only things I remember about that film. I was like, this guy was not in this film at fucking all.
Like, wasn't the whole point of Ocean's 8 is like, oh, these women,
again,
all women doing this heist, and they're gonna be so cool about it, and it's like...
That was another problem I had with this. That's another problem I had with this reveal. I was like, yeah, man, all women team, all women coming together. Who's the one who actually saw everything? The one man we hired on at the end. Who's the one who busted the guy who we wanted revenge on? The one man who Sandra Bullock is actually working with. Who's the one who actually provided the really good like tension at the end of this film? The one man in this film. I was like, I don't think this film like actually pulled off what it was going for.
That would be like having the Ghostbusters remake and then having like someone from the original cast come in and save the day. Like,
are you sure they didn't do that? They put it in there so many goddamn references. This did actually kind of remind me of the 2016 Ghostbusters film, because what was my big complaint with that film? They would not stop making references to the old film, just constantly, beat for beat, over and over again. Like, I honestly think that the 2016 Ghostbusters, there's some good shit there if you just relied on that. If you just stopped constantly going, remember this thing, remember this thing, remember this thing. Fucking stop that. That was the most annoying part of that entire film. This film constantly, so is that your brother? Yeah, it's my brother. Is your brother actually dead? I don't know if my brother's actually dead. I'm gonna go to my brother's grave. Hey, Elliot Gould, hey, this thing. I was like, stop. You have your own thing here. Try and make your own goddamn thing.
well, you know the only reason why they do references is like bring back the old audience and everything, so...
But it's at the very fucking end of the movie when this guy shows up. Man, it bugged the shit out of me. That's how they solved this thing. This guy who was not in the rest of the film and is just a character from the previous film came back in this. And I was like, and yeah, he got an applause from the audience. Apparently there is a fan base for this guy. But man, yeah, I just looked at that and I was like, for real? Fan service is what saved the day. Fan service saved the goddamn day. It's kind of like when, spoilers for Deadpool 2, it's kind of like when Juggernaut just shows up out of goddamn nowhere in that, except at least they kept hinting at Juggernaut throughout the film. They kept talking about some really big bad guy. And also, it's fucking Deadpool. It's the whole point of Deadpool is he's a guy who can turn to the audience and go, "This is a thing from the comics, everyone." Mm-hmm. This is just like you just fucking stop to just go, "It's that guy from the first film, everybody." Yeah, man, that drove me nuts. But I was like, yeah. So this film, the personalities are so goddamn good in these characters. I like these characters so much, but after a point, the characters just become facts. They just become people who just recite, so what do we do now? What do we do now? We're going to this thing. We're doing this thing. We're doing this thing. And then the heist itself is so fucking smooth. It's too smooth. Like, you can't just have, like, something so smooth that you just slide right through it. You need some traction on there. You need some tension in there. And there's no tension in this heist. And then they introduce something in a fourth act of this film as if it's supposed to be the thing that's like, now this is what we were actually building up to. Oh, okay, I'm in. I'm totally, wait, it's all solved? Oh, fuck that, man. Remember Logan Lucky?
Yeah.
Remember how we kind of talked about how it was really weird that they introduced this big dynamic investigator character at the very end of that film? And we're just kind of like, yeah, it's kind of weird that they just come in here and that's not really resolved either. Like, you see them doing the case, but they don't actually solve the case. But we said, yeah, we're okay with it because the rest of this film was so goddamn interesting. And also, the fact that they don't solve the case, it feels like they're setting up kind of for a sequel. So it's like, okay, I can kind of understand that. Here, the heist itself isn't interesting, so this is what you needed to rely on. Mm-hmm. And then it's solved. Like that. And it's not even solved as in like they pulled a trick on this guy. It's solved because he just goes up to them and is like, "Oh, hey, Debbie, how you doing? So who do you want me to arrest?" Also, one weird thing is that Lou at one point tells Debbie, like after Lou finds out that the guy who betrayed Debbie is the one who they're getting to be Anne Hathaway's date for this thing, she goes up there and goes, "No, this is a job. You gotta be professional. You can't make this about revenge. If you told me this was about revenge, I wouldn't be doing that." That's the only argument she brings up about this. And then at the end of the film, she is 100% on board with them just going for the revenge path. Yeah, it's got problems. So yeah. Man, I was gonna give this like a 6 out of 10 because like it's fine. It's fine because the character personalities are so high. But man, I'm gonna have to reevaluate that because yeah, the more I think about this, wow, they just fucking dropped the ball at the end of this thing.
So you think it'd be more like a 5 or?
Maybe, because it's definitely not below a 5 because the personalities keep this from being a bad film. Mm-hmm. It is not a bad film. It is not below that halfway point. But fuck, man, yeah, those personalities are all I really had to hang on to in this. The characters themselves are really damn good, and I wanted way more of that. And it's shocking to me that, like, man, again, okay, I guess I am going to do it. Comparing it to the first one, which I know I said I wasn't going to do because I don't really remember it, but I do remember really liking the personalities. It's kind of shocking to me that film that had 11 fucking people on it spent more time with their personalities than the film with 8 people in it. Yeah, it's really kind of upsetting. Yeah, man, this film, it starts off so goddamn good, and then it just becomes really boring and really flat. But I will say, that dude in my audience loved it. That dude in my audience, that was the greatest thing of all time. That dude was Robert De Niroing me in Cape Fear. That dude, he might as well just have had a big-ass cigar in there. I thought that dude was going to spray Joker toxin on the entire room. So yeah, I mean, go and check it out, because there clearly is an audience for this. And also, yeah, man, I do like the character. Like, this is heartbreaking. It always bums me out when you have characters I like and you don't give them shit. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what this film is. So, yeah, go and check it out. There are people who are going to enjoy this way more than I did. In fact, I think that just speaking in the range of critics out there, I'm probably coming a little bit more on the negative side than most of them.
Yeah.
This actually has like a 70% on Rotten Tomatoes. So, I mean, it's got good reviews. But yeah, man, I didn't dig it. The thing that I was enjoying, they dropped, and then the thing I was looking forward to, there was no tension to it. So that's really what I'm coming at. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. This is going to be a jam-packed weekend full of these post-Geekout reactions, because we're also seeing Hereditary, and Hotel Artemis is it. Also, if I have time, I'm going to try and see that Mr. Rogers documentary. So yeah, if you want to see those, make sure that you stick around. Come back later. Bye, everyone.
Bye.